Hello everybody, today we're doing a video a little bit different than usual. If you are new around here, I'm a reseller. I primarily sell second-hand clothing on eBay and Vinted, a little bit of shoes as well, a little bit of, if I find something profitable, that will also go on there. But today, that is not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the other side of my business, which is just behind this curtain, and it is a vintage clothing shop. Brick and mortar high street shop, a little pride and joy. If you're wondering where it is, what it's called Franklin's. I'll pop up on Instagram here, and we are located in North Devon, Barnstaple. So the reason why I want to make this video is because I've been meaning to do it for 2 years. I've basically had the shop now for 2 years. We'll get into all that fun stuff, and I haven't done a video on the shop at all. It's all been the eBay side of stuff. So yeah, we're going to go over it. We're going to go over all my processes, all my sourcing, what I've learned, and loads of other little bits and bobs as well. So stay tuned for that. Let's go take a look at what the shop actually looks like, so you've got an idea of what we're talking about. So this is what we're working with. I'm right at the front door, stood right in the corner. Yeah, so that's our high street. It's not really the high street, it's sort of like the back alley of the high street, but the high street is literally just around the corner there. So yeah, this is what we're working with. This is what we're looking like. It is pretty cool in here. It is my little pride and joy. It's all second-hand clothing. Yeah, and we do great. Sort of like a thrifty sort of shop. You see a lot of them around cities. I'm only in a small town, but it's still quite popular. But yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Excuse a little bit of the mess around here. This is a working area, unfortunately, so it looks like that quite regularly. Right, a quick explanation as to why I even opened up a shop in the first place is just because I was selling out my mum and dad's garage on eBay for a little while, and I basically ran out of space, needed a new place to sell out of, was looking for storage units. The storage units in my local area were like $350 a month, and I found a shop just about a mile outside the town centre. That was, I believe, £500 a month, so not massively too much more, and it was massive compared to the storage units, and there was a shop front. So I figured for the extra 150, 200 quid, 300 quid, let's just go in and rent the shop instead of renting a storage unit. So that's why we actually opened up a shop in the first place. Once I decided to do that, I needed to decide what to put in the shop, because believe it or not, I actually wanted the shop before I knew what I was going to put in there. I just figured, get the shop and I'll just put anything in there, and it'll work out better than just a storage unit. So that's why we got into having a high street shop. And then as to why I picked clothing, I really have no explanation for that. I think I was just looking through all the options and found someone on YouTube who was selling on Vinted or something and buying in bales. If you've seen the bales, that you probably have the wholesale bales, and that's where I got the idea from. It was completely random. It was never my sort of goal to open a vintage clothing shop. But anyway, here we are 2 years later, in a new shop. So when I think back to 2 years ago when we first started up our business, I think of our opening day. Now, our opening day I was so excited for, obviously, you know, young lad just starting up his new business, optimistic, bit naive, and thought, right, this is going to be the best day ever. We're going to take so much money, everyone's going to come in, the town's going to love it. Because there's not much near us in terms of clothing shops at all, new or secondhand, so I was presuming everyone would love it. Yeah, so I just posted Instagram, Facebook all week leading up. And the first day, absolutely nobody come in. And then we were about to shut the shop at 5 o'clock and 2 people come in. It was someone I used to go to school with, a girl, just happened to sort of be living in the area. So she just come in by chance and saved the day. She bought a jumper of us from a company called Lotto. I think it's called Lotto. I'll pop up on screen what company I mean, what brand, I can't quite remember now. I think it was £25 she spent, and it saved the day, because if I didn't take any money on my first day, I would have been absolutely heartbroken. I mean, I did take money within the first 5 minutes because we had a coffee machine behind us, and my dad bought the coffee just to like be my first customer. So I would have took something, but to not take anything would have been heartbreaking. I was very happy about that. But yeah, that's just my first memory of the shop, was that first day, and sat there all day with no internet, because we hadn't had the internet set up yet, and no laptop. I was just sat on my phone all day. It was absolutely heartbreaking. But yeah, if you're out there, I won't say your name, but thanks for coming in. Thanks for buying the jumper. Saved the day. So when it comes to sourcing, we've actually gone through quite a few different stages of our sourcing for the business. We started off with bales. Like I say, that's sort of how I got my inspiration. I got to stop doing this. I don't know what this is all about. Put your hand down. yeah, so we started off with bales. I think that's where I got my inspiration for the shop, and then I just continued doing that. It worked for a little while, kind of, and then we sort of running out of money, because the trouble is with bales is when you spend, say, £500 on a bale, only half that bale will be good stock and the rest will be crap. So if eventually you keep just spending and spending and spending, you can, if you're not careful, you can run out of money pretty quick, because they're so expensive and there's so much waste that if you're not monetizing the bad bits of clothing, which I wasn't, I was just chucking it in a pile, you kind of don't make profit. So I was like a bit naive into thinking, well, I'm selling a lot when it comes in because I'm selling all the good stuff, just enough to buy another bale, and move sort of paycheck to paycheck on the bales. Fast forward to now, we have completely evolved our sourcing. We were on Vinted for a little while and that just got too slow to get really nice stuff, and now I've made a couple of videos on it. The handpick days, we are on handpick days. Yeah, you go up to a warehouse, a supplier who does the bulk stuff, and they cut open a bale for you, and you just pick out what you want and you pay a premium on it. That's where we're at now. If you're interested in that, I'll pop up my video here. It's on the channel, just type in what it says there and it will come up. Much better, you pay much more per piece, but it pays off massively and you don't end up with any waste, which is great, because who wants waste? It's just time, effort, money that is, yeah, no point in having it. So yeah, handpick is what we settled with. Just forgot, I just wanted to compare the opening day of our old shop to this shop. On our opening day of this shop, I believe, first of all, we had loads of people in. It was like 35 people in, which is, for us, was absolutely unheard of. We were lucky to get 35 people a month at the old shop. So I was super excited about that. And I think we did like 300 quid on our first day. Compared to what we did have at the old shop, the new shop was absolutely smashing it. So that was a massive boost in like morale, I guess you would call it. So yeah, that was just the difference. I just wanted to say the new shop, much more people coming in and out and much more sales on that first day. So that's super awesome. So let's get on to the fun bit. The struggles and the difficulties of running your own little shop like this is footfall. Obviously, if you pay more, you get on the high street, you get a better location. Obviously, the better location you get, the more you pay, but the more you make, because there's more people about, that sort of thing. So we're in a good location. If you know where we are, we're perfect because we're just off the high street. But if you're like newcomer and into town, you don't check social medias, you don't check what's going on, you're probably not going to find us that easily. So we're a little bit harder to find, which becomes a bit of a struggle, and footfall is a little bit tricky. It's much better than the old shop, like I say, but at the minute, we're probably getting, on average, I would say, maybe 4 people a day come in the shop, which is a little bit slow. But yeah, it is what it is. Some of those convert, some of those don't. Some days we'll get much more in. But if I had to say an average, I would say 4 or 5 people a day come in the shop. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. That is one of the main struggles. The reason why that's such a struggle is because the flip side of that, the way you get out of that, is with promotion. Now, obviously, you have to promote yourself as a small business location, and that costs so much money and time and effort, especially with all the other bits and bobs I've got going on. It really does become a bit of a second job to try and promote that. We did do promoted listings, promoted Facebook posts and stuff like that for a little while, which worked great. Get eyeballs in your shop, but obviously that adds up and it takes time out of the day. So that's just 2 of the main struggles really I find with having the actual physical shop. Of course, it's not all doom and gloom, because otherwise I wouldn't do it. So what are the benefits? The benefits to me are what it brings to this part of my business. As you can see behind me, all these boxes are filled to the brim with clothing, secondhand clothing that is all listed on eBay and Vinted, and that is where the benefit of the shop comes in. So as you can see, I'm in a lovely warm environment, dry, well lit environment. So that is a plus that I'm paying premium for, but the shop offsets. So that is the main benefit of the shop, in my opinion, is the fact that I get a really nice working environment to do my eBay. That it helps out the eBay in other ways. So liquidation is super easy for me. Let's say this box has been sat here for 6 months, 8 months, 2 years, and it's not selling. I can just take it out of there. We've got a £5 box in the other side. I'll chuck it all in there, bang, £5 a go, and people love it, and it will sell within probably a month, and it's been sat there for however long. So liquidation, getting rid of old stock, is great for, especially with sales and stuff like that as well, other bits you can do. But also, I also find it kind of gives your online shops a little bit more credibility. So when people go onto our Vinted and they realize we are actually a physical location, it just adds that little bit more of a bit more legitimacy. You know where your stuff's coming from, you know it's going to be it's like buying a cake from an actual bakery or buying a cake from someone's home kitchen business. You're like, well, I know the standards might be a little bit higher at an actual bakery. Maybe, I don't know if that's true. That's just a weird off the cuff thing I thought of, but I guess it's true. I don't know. The other benefit, of course, is reduced cost on storage. So, like I say, if I was to pay out for just a storage unit, it wouldn't cost me too much more than what. Sorry, it wouldn't cost me much less than what this is costing me. Especially when you factor in the lights, the electric, the water. You know, if you're trying to find somewhere with running water, a toilet, internet, and lights, electricity, it's going to cost you a fair bit. So that's another benefit, is it offsets the cost of rent because the shop makes money. So it's sort of like offsets your costs because it's, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Also, another benefit is eBay is a super lonely job, and if you sat in a garage all day by yourself, it's going to get very boring and very lonely. At least here I kind of see people come in, they say hello, you ask them how the day is, and general chit chat, ask them how the weather is even though you can see it and shit like that. So just little things like that. Right, I just finished this whole video and completely forgot to talk about money, which was kind of the point of this, is to talk about how the shop does. So yeah, very briefly, the shop costs £600 a month to rent. No business rates or anything like that. That is a flat 600, or it's actually 605. And on a good week, we'll take around £150. Sometimes it can be much more. Like our biggest week was 500, and our lowest week has literally been 0. So there is a spectrum there, but an average good week where people are coming in, there's no world events where it's pissing down with rain and no one wants to venture out. About £150 would be a good solid week for us. And we usually operate at we usually double our money. So half of what we take will be profit, basically, which is £75 a week in profit, which works out to £300 a month in profit. Obviously, that you're probably thinking that doesn't even cover the rent, which is very true. But if you think about what I said earlier, and how we're looking for storage anyway, and the average storage unit in our local town is probably a little bit more than £300. So I'm paying £300 for the shop and £300 for the eBay business for storage. I think that's fair trade, and I get a nice chance of making more, right? So shop one week could do more. Hopefully that clears up the money situation of the shop. The shop basically is just there to offset some of the costs of renting a unit, and having somewhere nice to work, because I don't want to work, especially I'm not built for the cold like I used to be. I used to work outdoors. I used to be built for the cold, but I've lost a bit of weight since then. I'll pop up 2 pictures just to brag about that. But yeah, I feel the cold, so it's nice to have someone really nice to come and work, get my work done, and that little bit extra, paying that a little bit extra is worth it to me. So it's about 2 years and 1 month. I think 15th of October we opened up the first store, and it is now currently the 27th of November. I'm filming this. And the main thing that I've taken from this is not the amount of money I've earned, because that's definitely not worth taking, or anything like that, or the business lessons I've learned. It's actually just the personal growth. When I started 2 years ago, I was such a different person to what I am now. I feel like I've grown up so much. I was 21 when I opened this one. I'm now 23. That's kind of formative years anyway. You sort of grow up quite a bit in that time, I feel like. But the lessons I've learned about myself are so valuable. Those lessons that I've learned are actually worth more than what I could have earned extra if I'd worked a normal job, because obviously I've had to take quite a bit of a pay cut the last 2 years to give this business a go. If I'd stayed in the job, I would have earned more and saved more, but I think the lessons I've learned is worth the trade-off. So what are the lessons? The first lesson is I'm full of shit, and I didn't even realise it. At least I realise it now. A lot of the time back then, I would come up with these elaborate plans on how I'm going to make this into something massive and it's going to be great and nothing's ever going to go wrong. And it's true until you don't do the work. So back then I would come up with these elaborate plans and go, yeah, do this, I'll do that, I'll be right on it, I'll be in at 5, I'll be smashing it, I'll be waking up, I'll be going for runs. And before you realise it, you haven't stuck to any of that, and it's all gone out the window, and you do half the things you've promised yourself, and things work out half as well as you thought they would, and you can't find this sourcing technique, so you don't quite work out. Yeah, that's the number one lesson I've learned, is it's so important to keep it real with yourself. You're only lying to yourself. Don't come up with these crazy plans where you can't stick to it because you get disheartened. So that's the number one thing, is if you find yourself being full of shit, catch yourself and realise, actually, let's just take a step back, let's take it a bit slower, and we'll get there eventually, but it's going to take twice as long as you think. The main lesson I've learned is sort of linked into that, and it's actually 90% of any endeavour you do, the progress is going to be made in the boring small tasks you do every day over the course of a year. The days you come in and smash it that matter. It's the days you don't want to do it and you come in and do it anyway, that's actually what adds up. You can do more damage on a bad day than you can do good on a good day. So if I come in one day and my job is to list as many on here as I can and I'm feeling good, I'm feeling up for it, so I get loads done, and then the next 2 days I slump off because fuck it, I can't be bothered. I might as well have not come in that first day. Whereas if on all 3 days I just do the job and I do the work, I'm ahead, right? So if I come in one day and I smash 20 listings and then I can't be asked the next 2 days because I've overdone it, or I'm deflated, or I'm being lazy, I then get behind. But if I've come in all 3 days and listed 10, I'm now 10 ahead of what I would have been. So it's just about doing the work, shutting up and getting on with it. Yeah, the question is so often irrelevant and the answer is so often hard work. I think that's the quote, something like that. One thing I've learned is just patience, and no matter how hard you push and how motivated you get and how many David Goggins videos and motivational quotes you read, or you say down the end of a camera, it doesn't really matter. Tomorrow I feel good today and I've done all my work today, but tomorrow I could come in and feel like crap, and that's when it matters. And it doesn't matter how many motivational videos you watch, you've got to push yourself through that, and you've got to realize that that day actually does matter. It matters more than you realize, because in a year when you look back and you think, crap, I've done 365 days of work there, and that is why I'm now reaping the rewards I am. That's everything I've got to talk about today. I appreciate you coming along on this journey with me. If there's anything I forgot to mention, comment down below and I'll try and reply to them. I tried to reply to all the comments, but yeah, if I've forgotten anything, put it down there. If you made it this far, you're a legend. You clearly enjoyed the video enough to stay to the end, so you might as well subscribe now you're here, and also like the video whilst you're there. Until next time, which will probably be next week some point, in my next video, take care, and I'll see you on the other side.